Hey, and welcome to video number 4. I'm going to show you how to create catchy text as well as creating that cool mirroring effect with your text. So I'm going to split this video up into 3 different steps. Step number 1, I'm going to show you how to create text. And then step number 2, I'm going to show you how to turn that text into a gradient. Gradient meaning if you look at, let's say, a text, it looks like this. Imagine this was one color, if it was blue. And you know how you have lighter shades of blue and darker shades of blue, kind of like that shiny looking effect. So I'm going to show you how to do that in step number 2. And then step number 3, I'm going to show you how to do the mirroring effect, kind of like what we talked about earlier. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But it's a step-by-step process so that you can learn, fairly easy from step number 1 to step number 3, and it'll be very easy for you to implement once you understand that. Step number 1 is, of course, to create a text. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All you have to do is click on the text here, and then choose the color that you want to make. So in this case, I'm just going to keep it at, let's say, dark blue. And then I'm going to click somewhere, doesn't matter where you click it, and then I'm just going to enter the text. Now if you want to change the font, you can do so by clicking here, and as you can see, the beauty of paint.net is it shows you what the font looks like. So you can pick and choose whatever font you want it to look like. So if I wanted to change from cursive to, let's say, this one here, I can do that. And then if you want to change the size, you just change the size here. And I'll just keep it at 192. If you want to bold it, you can. If you want to italicize it, underline it, put a strike through it, you can do that. If you want to move the text around, you will see this square box here with the arrows. Simply click on that and just move it around wherever you want it to be moved around. Alright. Now the second step is, of course, I'm going to show you how to create a gradient in terms of the text itself. Now I know I talked about that I'm going to use layers in the future videos, and I'm going to dive deeper into that later on, but I want to show you something cool. In order to create, mirroring effects and so forth and gradients, you're going to need to use layers. So to keep it simple, however, I'm just going to use one layer, and that's it. So I'm going to start from scratch. Whenever you create a gradient or anything like that, then mirroring effects, you're going to need to create one layer. So all you have to do is click layer and click add new layer, and paint.net is automatically going to give you a layer with no background, and that's what we want. So I'm going to uncheck this. All that means is that it makes it disappear just for the moment, and I'm going to click on the same text, click text, and add the text that I want to. And the next thing I'm going to do is use this magic wand tool. What this magic wand tool does is it allows you to select an area. So because we're dealing with text and we're not dealing with anything complicated, you don't have to worry about anything up here. So simply click on that and then hold the shift key. So you want to hold the shift key down and select that. And as we can see, it was selected all the way from here, here, and here. And normally you would hold the shift key and select these just inside the blue area or whatever color that you choose. Once that's done, you simply click on the gradient option here. There are different types of gradients. There are linear reflected, diamond, and as you can see, you can get an idea of what it is. So I'm just going to choose linear, And what that means is now that we have this text selected, all you have to do is click anywhere you want. And as you can see, you're creating a gradient here. And if I hold the mouse and I put it down, as you can see here, you're creating a gradient more on a horizontal level. Now I can choose the color that I want to red if I want to, or pink or whatever. As long as you're using the color wheel here, that's fine. So that's how to create a gradient. And using this knowledge, you're going to be able to create the mirror effect. And I'm going to start from scratch. And the last step is to show you how to create the mirror effect. So I've started with a clean slate here. And I'm going to remove the background here. And you can use the background later if you want to. And I'll actually show you how to do that. In this case, you're creating two different layers. Imagine you're looking at a mirror and you see yourself. And if you're looking from a outside view, you see yourself in the mirror and you see yourself standing there. In this case, there are two different layers. It's just a duplicate layer of the first layer. So just keep that in mind. Using the information that I showed you earlier, you want to create a new layer, and then we'll just uncheck this. And actually, I'll leave that here just so you can see, what happens and so forth. So, of course, step number 1, click on the text tool, and then choose a color that you want. Now, the background, let's see here. I'm going to probably change the background color to something darker just so you can see the mirror effect. So let's say that I'm going to choose dark blue. And then I want to change the color of the background. So as long as the background is checked, and you click on it, then I'm editing the background. Now I want to fill this up, so I want to use the paint bucket tool and simply change the color, and that's it. Now I want to deal with the first layer, or the text layer. So I want to click on the text tool and make sure this is checked. And since it's dark blue, I want something lighter, let's say for example white. So I'm going to choose white here. Oops. And you can change the colors of the color wheel here. If you click on here, it'll change the color of that. If you click on here, it'll change the color of that. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm going to move this to the side so that you can see this area here. Click on text, click here, and then add the text. And then, of course, move that to the location. Now, because we're dealing with a mirror effect, I'm going to make this a little smaller because there are going to be 2 layers involved. So I'm going to move this to the very top, and then that's all we've done. Now, remember how I talked about the mirror is like a second layer, but it's basically like a duplicate layer. So as long as this is checked, all you have to do is go to layers and click on duplicate layer. Duplicate layer. And then as we can see, if we click on the move tool here, you see that we've created 2 text. All right. Now I want to flip that because it's a mirror effect, right? So to do that, all I have to do is make sure that I have that text selected. And anytime you move a layer, I'm not going to be able to move this layer unless I choose that layer, as you can see here. But I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to flip that layer. So you can either flip it horizontally or flip it vertically. We want to flip it vertically so it looks like this. Aha! So you're kind of getting an idea here. So you can use the arrows on the keypad to do this. Alright, so you've created a mirror effect. What now? Using the information that I showed you in step number 2 to create a gradient, you're basically going to turn the second layer into a gradient. To do that, like I showed you earlier, basically pick a color, any color that you want. I guess in this case we'll just pick, we'll stick with the dark blue. And then once you've picked a color, and if you're not familiar with what I just did, I basically clicked on the color picker to figure out what color was on the background. And then I'm going to click on the gradient tool. Oh, of course I've missed a step. Of course I need to select that layer. So make sure you select the right layer first. Once you select that layer, use the magic wand tool. And then hold the shift key, just as we did in step number 2. And then after that is selected and you see the outline selected, now it's time to use the gradient tool. Simply click, and then what I would do is just either push up. So if you push down or you hold the mouse down, then it's not going to be like that mirror effect closest to the center. So let's say do that. And then you'll see this little circle thing. If I make this circle thing, as you can see, it gets darker. So just play around with that a little bit. And I'm almost done. The next thing I want to do is probably cut this in half. So what I mean by that is, okay, you're looking at this and you see the mirror effect here, but you really don't care about this stuff here. So what you can do is just highlight that and then delete it. Hit delete. And you can play around with it if you want to, change the gradient a little bit. Oops. Yeah, so don't forget to click the magic wand tool to select that layer. And that's it. That's how to create a mirror effect. You can play around with it a little bit more with the gradient tool to make it a little look better and so forth.